Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Sex Here and Now. As always, I'm your host, Matt Lockman. I'm a licensed clinical therapist and ASECT certified sex therapist. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I think most people have never, ever spent much time thinking about. Yet it shows up every single time we all engage with sex. I want to talk about your sexual style. Now, some of you may already be thinking, Matt, what exactly is a sexual style? And you know what? That is what I am here to tell you. Is it like a personality test? Am I going to find out that I am an INFJ in bed? Well, no, not exactly. What I'm talking about when I talk about a sexual style is I'm talking about roles. I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about patterns that you bring into your sexual experiences. It is the script you have learned over time, the way you show up sexually with yourself and with other people. The interesting thing is that most of us never consciously choose our sexual style. We simply develop one. Maybe you learned that your job is to take care of somebody else. Maybe you learned that your pleasure comes second. Maybe you learned that sex is something you perform rather than experience. Maybe you learned that you are supposed to take charge, or you learned that it feels safe when someone else takes the lead. Over time, these lessons become habits. These habits become patterns. And before you know it, they become your sexual script. For example, some people naturally identify as givers. They get genuine pleasure from focusing on their partner's experience. They love seeing their partner enjoy themselves. They enjoy and love creating pleasure. Others, on the other hand, are comfortable receiving. They enjoy surrendering control and allowing themselves to be cared for. For some people, that can feel deeply vulnerable because they have spent most of their lives taking care of everyone else. Some people are more dominant. They like directing the experience, they feel confident taking charge. Others feel more comfortable being guided. They enjoy following rather than leading. They enjoy being able to relax and trust someone else to create the experience for them. Some people are incredibly attentive. They are constantly scanning for what their partner wants, needs, or enjoys. Others are more passive, not because they don't care, no, but because they never have learned how to advocate for themselves sexually, or because they are waiting for permission to take up space. Hell, some people are adventurous. Some are cautious, some are playful, some are serious, some are nurturing, some are teasing, some are highly verbal, while others communicate through touch and presence. None of these styles are inherently better or worse. The problem occurs when we stop being aware of the script we are operating from. I see this happen all the time in therapy. Someone tells me they are frustrated because their partner never initiates. Meanwhile, their partner says they have spent years being told they initiate the wrong way. Someone tells me they are exhausted because they always carry the emotional and sexual labor of the relationship. They're always planning, always initiating, always making everyone else feel okay. Someone else tells me that they struggle to experience pleasure because they spend the entire sexual encounter monitoring their partner's reactions instead of paying attention to their own body. These are all experiences of sexual styles that have become rigid. The goal is to not get rid of your style, the goal is flexibility. Think about it this way. Imagine if every conversation you had for the rest of your life required you to play exactly one role. You could only listen, you could never talk, or you could talk and never listen. That would get exhausting pretty quickly. Sex is no different here. Healthy sexuality often involves the ability to move between different roles and different energies depending on the situation, the partner, and what feels authentic in the moment. Sometimes you may want to lead Sometimes you may want to follow. Sometimes you may want to give, and sometimes you may want to receive. Sometimes you may want to be playful. Sometimes you may want to be nurtured. The more flexibility we develop, the more options we have available to us. One of my favorite questions is this: who are you during sex? Not what do you do, not how often do you do it, not what positions you enjoy. Who do you become? Do you become a caretaker, a performer, a people pleaser, a leader, a learner, a receiver, a protector, a curious explorer? The answer often tells us far more about someone's sexual experience than any list of activities ever could. Because at the end of the day, sexuality is not just about behavior, it is about how we relate to ourselves. It is about how we relate to other people. And it is about the stories we have learned and the roles we have adopted. So this week, I want you to spend some time reflecting on your own sexual style. What role do you tend to play? What comes naturally to you and what feels difficult? What roles have you been stuck in for years, and what might happen if you gave yourself permission to try something different? You might discover that there are parts of your sexuality you have never fully met before. Sex Here and Now is written and recorded by me, Matt Lockman. For more resources, education, or support, you can find me on all social platforms at Cleveland Sex Therapy. Thanks for being here, and as always, stay curious.